Every so often, the park receives unusual donations from the public, and the primate care team do their best to put them to good use. Today, Donna's using her initiative to find something fun to do with a donated child's play pit. Her solution? Filling it with hundreds of pine cones to entertain one of the Capuchin groups.
We're going to mix some food in with that. I'm going to give it to Gizmo's group. It's pretty simple, very natural, encourages foraging behaviour, so hopefully they're going to really like it. So these are just pine cones that have naturally fallen, so they're going to have all sorts of bugs and creepy crawlies and stuff in them as well. They've actually been lying around for quite a while now, so they'll not only get the food, but they'll get whatever else they can find as well.
Donna is adding some bananas into the mix, including the skins, which the Capuchins also like to eat.
The Capuchins are really notorious for just chewing their food and then spitting out all the skin and bits like that, so they don't actually get a lot of fibre in their diet. So when they do eat the banana skin, it's really good for them.
The play pit is ready, and the Capuchins are let into the enclosure. There are only 6 in this group, and they're led by Gizmo, the only male. He's attracted by the play pit straight away and starts to forage enthusiastically. The rest of the troop are females. 4 of them, Sophia, Ginger, Maddie and Maggie, were rescued along with 84 others from a Chilean laboratory in 2008. Chuck was a victim of the British pet trade and arrived at the park 3 years ago. Like Gizmo, she was being kept in appalling conditions in a totally inadequate outdoor space. She had just one tiny lamp to keep her warm in extremely cold conditions, a poor diet, and no companionship. She arrived at Monkey World with little knowledge of how to be a Capuchin. But her turnaround has been remarkable.
All of her behaviours have really come on leaps and bounds. She really didn't know how to act like a Capuchin at all when she first came. Even things that we take for granted with our guys, like urine washing and anointing behaviours with things like chilies and onions. She would just sit there looking at the others like, what are you doing? Whereas now you give her an onion and she absolutely loves it. She gets right in there, chews it up and gets it all over her body.
The girls have all hung back while Gizmo tucks in. But now it's their turn, and they're all keen to forage. Maddie is the dominant female. She searches for any banana left by Gizmo before an insect catches her eye. Got it! Capuchins are problem solvers, able to manipulate objects with their hands very much like humans. The pine cones are a perfect challenge, and they're all busy foraging, with Gizmo getting more than his fair share.
I think once he realised that there was banana in there, he's now having a whale of a time. The girls are probably going to be a little bit reluctant to go over whilst Gizmo's there because he can be a little bit unpredictable sometimes. But hopefully he'll get bored and then give everyone else a little go in a minute.
The play pit has been a success, replicating natural foraging behaviours. It's given the 6 Capuchins something to think about and kept them stimulated and interested. And in the coming days, they can rummage to their heart's content. At the Capuchin Lodge, Eriko's troop of 14 are outside making the most of their natural enclosure. Earlier in the year, Storm Eunice felled a number of the trees previously enjoyed by the troop. But the unfortunate turn of events brought other opportunities.
It does open up a new dynamic to the enclosure. It exposes all of the roots, which means they can forage in that, which creates also a boggy area for them as well. We get all sorts of different things and insects in there for them to forage for. So it's a shame in one way, but also for the animals, it does give them another element of enrichment as well.
Some of the group are looking a bit worse for wear these days. They're getting on in years, possibly even in their 40s. Their tough start to life in a laboratory took its toll, although it's been followed by a contented life at the park, closely watched over by the care staff. Unfortunately, Eriko's group has suffered a major blow, losing its youngest and newest member. Female Louis, who recently underwent surgery on her fingers and toes and who suffered from stomach problems, passed away. She only arrived at the park a year ago with male Matty and had just started to find her place in the troop. She appeared to be recovering well and was enjoying being outside and interacting with the others. There was no indication anything was wrong, and she was foraging in the enclosure just before she passed away.
Louis was actually our youngest Capuchin that we had here amongst all of them. Obviously, she arrived to us with some health issues, which we had investigated. We put her on the relevant medications, and by all accounts, she seemed to be doing really, really well. But Capuchins, like most animals, are so good at hiding any kind of illness. So sometimes, by the time that we notice it, actually, it's too late. And I think that was obviously the case with Louis, and unfortunately, there really wasn't anything that we could do at that point.
Louis arrived at the park with Matty. He had a rocky start when he attempted but failed to take over leadership of the group from Erico. But things have settled down now with Erico firmly in charge.
It is still officially Erico's group. Erico and Matty actually seem to get on quite well. They seem to have quite a good understanding between them. Sean is not so pleased about Matty's presence, but they seem to be able to manage it between them, and the group, for the most part, is quite mellow.
There's a new arrival at Erico's Capuchin Lodge. Late yesterday afternoon, the group of 12 increased by 1 when Louis, a 28-year-old male, arrived at the park. He was collected by Alison from a home in Leicestershire, was in poor condition, and missing part of his right arm.
We've popped him in a bedroom at the lodge, so he just went straight in there last night. He kind of climbed up to a shelf and he's curled up there, and he's spent most of the night there, clearly, and he hasn't moved from that spot this morning.
Louis had been living in a small cage in the kitchen of a house in Hinckley, a market town in Leicestershire. His owner had kept him for more than 20 years. When she passed away a few years ago, she left the Capuchin to her son. The mother had held a dangerous wild animals licence, allowing her to keep the Capuchin, but it had lapsed and not been renewed.
Good little man.
Once Alison had assessed Louis, she immediately alerted the team at Monkey World to prepare a bedroom suitable for a Capuchin with a serious disability.
So beautiful. He is.
When Louis arrived, it was obvious he was underweight and lacking muscle tone, a consequence of poor living conditions. He managed to climb up to a platform in his new bedroom, but hasn't moved since.
Despite us putting extra branches and hosing up, he went in there last night and he's just kind of sat up on this platform, and he hasn't come down, he hasn't moved. So the only way that we can get food into him at the moment is by going in and giving him some food. We're not sure why he hasn't moved down. It could be because of his mobility. Obviously, he is missing an arm. He doesn't seem to recognise the hosing and the branches as something that he could be walking on. So he's just kind of sat in that platform in the corner. So I'm going to go and add a few extra bits to help him get around and, yeah, just see if we can get him out of his corner.
Katie has been keeping a close eye on Louis all morning, handing him food. He's curious as she starts adding extra ramps to help him manoeuvre his way around the bedroom.
We'd obviously prefer him to be acting a bit more like a Capuchin. Any of our other Capuchins would not be so calm with us being in here. For the meantime, it'll be good to help us kind of get to know him and get close to him.
Once Louis is confident enough to move around, the team can use the following days to assess him and his mobility. It'll help them decide which Capuchin group will be the best option for him to join when he's ready.
He hasn't been with other Capuchins for a long period of time, so it will be interesting to see what he makes of them. So we definitely need to assess his mobility and the fact that he hasn't really moved around his room much yet, because some of our enclosures have very large climbing frames. The forest enclosure here has some quite tall trees. So it's really going to depend a lot on his mobility as to where we can even consider putting him to begin with.
For now, it's all about earning Louis' trust
Does that look like something you might want to get?
and building up his strength and stamina for what is going to be a very different life for the Capuchin. It's been 2 weeks since Alison arrived back at the park with an elderly Capuchin monkey called Louis. His limited mobility meant his first few days were challenging. Louis had been kept in a small cage in his previous owner's kitchen, with just mesh sides to move around on. The previous restrictions, plus the fact he's missing his right arm below the elbow, meant getting used to more space as well as branching and hosing was daunting for the 28-year-old Capuchin, and he barely moved from his perch. But in the last few days, he's turned a corner, and the primate care team have also made a startling discovery.
So Louis has been with us a couple of weeks now. He's doing really well after not moving from his one platform for a few days. He's started to explore now, moving between bedrooms, which is really nice to see. We've also made quite a discovery in that Louis is actually not a male, but a female. So now she has been renamed Louisa.
Louisa has spent the last 2 weeks at the Capuchin Lodge, home to Erico's group of 13.
Come on, you can do it.
To encourage Louisa to move around and explore her new surroundings, the primate care team have been gradually introducing her to some of the lower-ranking individuals within the group. And it's had a positive effect.
Once she started moving around a little bit more, she's really into her food, which is absolutely great, but she's also really interested in the other monkeys in the house as well. She'll come to the front where she can sort of look over and see the other individuals, so I think she wants that companionship. She's just a little bit nervous, which is understandable because she hasn't had that for so long.
Louisa has been spending a lot of time with Caesar.
Come on in.
He's also an ex-pet trade Capuchin, and a very calm individual. The pair are getting on well. She's also met Ringo and Binti, who are near the bottom of the group's hierarchy. And a couple of days ago, she was introduced to the top man, Erico, who basically ignored her.
He's met her, there was no trouble between them, so hopefully we'll just continue and gradually work on the more dominant animals.
It's a steep learning curve for Louisa. She's spent most of her life alone and now has to learn to deal with all the different personalities and Capuchin etiquette that comes with being integrated into a large group. Today, she's taking another big step in that process, going into the large playroom, a very different experience to anything she's come across before.
It is probably higher than she's used to. It's a vaster space, and also she's got the window so she can see the other animals that are around, the woolly monkeys across the way, and also the public can come right up to the window as well. We put some food in her, some of her favourite things to help entice her to explore a little bit as well. So the mealworms and the pellet are two of her real favourite things.
To give her confidence, Caesar is going into the playroom with her. He's in his element. With no other members of the group present, he can tuck into the plentiful grubs and pellets Donna's put out. He seems to be on a mission to get every last one. Louisa watches from one of the tunnels high up in the corner.
Come all the way through, you can see a bit better.
To begin with, despite encouragement from Donna, she's happy to stay put. Even when females Scarlett and Binti arrive to show her the ropes, she remains reluctant. But eventually, she joins in. Tentatively foraging through a blanket Binti is already tackling with enthusiasm. It's going to take time and patience, but Louisa is making progress, and on her way to becoming a fully integrated member of a large Capuchin group for the first time in her life. Not so over at the Capuchins, where it's been a story of mutiny and upheaval. Franco was recently ousted as leader of his group, and for his own safety needed to be moved. The knock-on effect posed some problems for the primate care staff.
Obviously, he was a dominant male, so whichever group that we picked, it was going to be very difficult to introduce him to.
The team opted for Sonny's group. It's the largest of the 5 at the park, and Sonny is laid back for an alpha male. But the layout of the house wasn't ideal for introductions, and there were lots of individuals in the troop for Franco to meet. The team decided the best solution was a house swap, moving Sonny's troop over to the lodge, with Eriko's group going in the opposite direction. The scheme involved 34 Capuchins in all.
Unlike previous moves that we've done before, where we've just been able to switch them in-house, these 2 houses are completely separate. So we had to crate all the animals up. But we were really lucky. We do a lot of operant conditioning with the Capuchin monkeys, and they all willingly walk into the crate.
Hi. Hello.
It went far better than I think any of us could have anticipated.
Fast forward a few weeks, and deposed leader Franco is settling in well. He's met everyone, including alpha male Sonny, and now they all have access to the large outdoor tree-filled enclosure. The surroundings are new to a lot of the group, but not Franco, who lived here a few years ago. Currently, he and Sonny are tiptoeing around each other.
They've just kind of avoided each other, really. Franco's spending most of his time inside. He keeps popping out. He has a look at where Sonny is and then pops back in. There have been a few instances where he's kind of got a bit startled. At one point, Letitia told him off and chased him back into the house. So he's still very wary, but Sonny's very wary as well. So they're just kind of staying out of each other's way.
While Franco gets used to life lower down the pecking order at the lodge, over at his old home, Eriko and his troop have taken up residence.
Eriko's group has settled in really well back down at the complex, and most of the individuals in the group have been in this facility before, but many years ago, so a lot of things have changed and they would have been in a very different group scenario. But it's really good enrichment for them to think about the different layout of the house and also to explore the outside enclosure. It's very different. Where do all the hosing and the poles lead to? All the different bushes, where they can see the public, where they can see the other groups as well, which they didn't have when they were at the lodge. So although it can be very daunting for them, it is actually a great form of enrichment that we can give them.
Eriko is very different from Sonny. He's super bright and into everything new, which can present challenges for the team. With a new house comes a new routine, and at the moment, Donna is struggling to persuade everyone outside. Eriko is so excited by the tunnel slides, he's blocking the entrance, meaning some of the low-ranking, more timid individuals, like Ringo and Caesar, are intimidated. It's a problem Donna is trying to overcome.
Eriko tests us all of the time, and we'll try and solve it using various different techniques. So today we've used the hay balls on the mesh just to move him away from the area. He's still getting the worms out of it, so it's positive for him. And then we can draw back on those. Once he gets used to, oh, I'm not allowed in that area, then we can draw back on that and just go back to using the station training. And there's lots of other different techniques that we can use. We just sort of trial and error, really, and see which one works with that individual in that particular scenario.
Eventually, everyone's outside enjoying their new enclosure, including Louisa, the most recent Capuchin arrival at the park.
Louisa's doing amazing. She probably spends more time outside than she does in now. She doesn't go super high up in the enclosure unless she has to get to food. She absolutely loves Eriko, so she follows him around like a lost puppy a lot of the time, especially when she's in season. But she loves foraging, she catches the bugs, so yeah, she's really come a long way since she first arrived.
Despite all the upheaval that comes with moving home, the park's Capuchin groups are adapting, settling into their new surroundings and embracing the change. Mealtimes at the park can be rowdy, excitable affairs. And the primate care staff work hard to ensure all their charges receive a balanced, nutritious and appropriate diet. But it's also important to change it up every now and then, to keep all the animals engaged and encourage natural behaviours. A good way of doing this is to add a social element to the meal. Today, Donna's doing just that for Erico's troop of 12. She's aiming to encourage a spot of fur rubbing amongst the Capuchins.
We've got loads of goodies this morning. We've got some nice chillies, some raw ginger and some onions as well. They absolutely love their anointing. It's a natural behaviour, so we like to stimulate that as much as we can. So I'm hoping when they come out first thing this morning, they're going to see these and be really happy.
In the wild, Capuchins smear themselves with a variety of plants with different benefits. Some help repel insects, and others are thought to have medicinal roles. But today's food items have a specific goal.
For our Capuchins, the most important use that it has really is to sort of bring the Capuchins together. It's a very social activity for them. They'll all get together in sort of small groups and all rub it all over themselves together. So it's a really great way of forming the friendships within the group.
Donna opens up and Caesar is first out. There's plenty of food spread around, so everyone can get their share. Caesar's first find is an onion, and he's already peeling it. Fur rubbing is one of his favourite things to do, and soon he's enthusiastically anointing himself all over. Erico's troop have only recently moved to the Capuchin complex and have settled in really well. There aren't as many trees as their previous enclosure, but the large climbing frame and high platforms more than make up for it.
I would say we definitely see the animals using different spaces here as opposed to how they would at the forest. There are some similarities, so Scarlett, for example, loves the trees and she loves going up high in this enclosure. But you also see some of the other individuals like Erico and Sean that never used to climb really outside before. They will go up now, especially searching for food, so it's really great that we've been able to move them to an area that encourages them to be more active. And I actually think that this enclosure is far better suited to the group than the previous one that they had.
Erico is certainly enjoying his new surroundings. And this morning, he's joining in the fur rubbing using some chilies, even though his skills are rather basic. On one of the platforms, Matty is cleverly pounding an onion to break it apart. Success! One Capuchin who's truly embraced her new home is recent arrival Louisa. And Donna is delighted.
We were all really dubious as to how Louisa would get on. She is missing part of her arm, but actually, I think, she's just adapted. It doesn't bother her at all. She can get everywhere that all of the other Capuchins can get to. She speeds around the enclosure, so it certainly doesn't slow her down. She can feed, she will still hold food items in the arm, and she seems to now absolutely love the outdoors. At the lodge, she didn't particularly go outside too much, but here it's much more open and there's more sunny spots for her, which she absolutely loves. So yeah, she's doing really, really well.
The Capuchins have fully engaged in today's enrichment, indulging in a spot of fur rubbing and enjoying their new environment. And Donna is pleased her efforts to encourage captive primates to perform natural behaviours have paid off. Outdoors, and later indoors too. It's going to be a cracking afternoon for Gizmo's group of 6 Capuchins. Primate care member Donna is giving them a selection of nuts still in their shells, including walnuts, hazelnuts and Brazils. The problem for the Capuchins will be how to crack them open. Donna is providing them with all the tools they need.
We're giving them some quite big rocks and stones, which is something that we don't normally do because obviously they have access to the windows, but Gizmo's group don't actually have a window in their enclosure, so it's something that we can give them. They love playing with the stones and bashing things in here that they find anyway. These are a little bit bigger than normal, so that's going to be something different. We've also got quite a big boulder that we've added in here as well, and we're going to give them some whole nuts. So we're hoping that they'll use and find the tools that we've given them, which they'd have to in the wild, to crack open the nuts.
The Capuchins at the park get nuts and seeds as a regular part of their diet. But today, they're being encouraged to develop a skill their clever wild counterparts are known for: finding and using tools to break open the food.
So this big rock that we've got down on the ground is essentially their anvil. So we're hoping that's what they'll use as a base to crack the nuts open. And we've got some smaller rocks of varying different sizes and shapes that they can use to bash the nuts open. So we might see a variation in which rock they decide to use. We're putting some of the nuts in and around this area as well, just, you know, to give them a bit of a hint, this is what they're supposed to do. But we'll spread the nuts around as well, so then it'll be interesting to see if they actually bring those back to the anvil or if they just decide to use something else in the enclosure. Here you go, Chuck!
Chuck is the newest member of the group and is let out first.
Goodies! Hello.
She's still unsure of her ranking and sometimes hangs back when there's high-value food involved. To give her the opportunity to share in the bounty, she's given some time alone before the others join her. And today, she's trying to make the most of it.
Yes, Chuck is tapping away. She has, though, chosen the hardest nut just on a wooden pole, so I think she could be tapping for a little while, but she'll persevere, she'll get there in the end. She seems happy with her find, so I think she'll get there.
While Chuck shells her walnut, the rest of the troop are let out to see if they can crack the puzzle. The sound of tapping and happy cooing fills the enclosure.
Oh, good girl, Ginger.
The walnuts seem to be a popular choice, and the group discover, with a bit of work, the hazelnuts can be prized apart using their teeth.
Everyone's gone straight to the nuts. There's lots of tapping everywhere, which is really good. They're obviously very interested. There's lots of happy noises, so that's always really great.
Most of the troop are using the platforms to bash the nuts. Not quite the technique Donna was hoping for. But clever Gizmo is the star of the day. He's using the large anvil stone to try and smash open a hazelnut. Good effort, but he needs to work on his technique. Gizmo's overcome his pet trade background, when he was kept in a filthy shed in a back garden, to lead his own small troop.
Some of his behaviours are a little bit different to the rest of the other Capuchins, and a lot of that has come from when he was kept in the pet trade. But he does really well, and when we give him something that he absolutely loves, onions is one of his favourite things, but nuts he absolutely loves as well. So although sometimes he can be a little bit quiet, he'll take himself off from the group, I think this he'll absolutely love, and I think he'll be central in amongst all the girls.
And they're loving it too. In fact, you could say Gizmo and his girls have gone nuts over today's task. It's a beautiful sunny day, and down at the Capuchin complex, one group are making the most of their wonderful outdoor enclosure. It's been designed to give the Capuchins everything they need, with tall climbing frames and walkways, and lots of natural planting providing shade and shelter, as well as a perfect habitat for wildlife, something this group love.
They spend most of their day just foraging for the insects that just naturally appear. You'll see them digging up the grass and overturning the turf to get to things like the woodlouse and the worms. They'll go along the fence line or underneath the platforms and get all the spiders. And we're also really lucky that we've got things like buddleia in their enclosures that naturally attract a lot of other flying insects as well, and so they love catching those. It's a very natural behaviour. It's exactly what they would be doing out in the wild. So it's really nice to be able to see them doing that all through the summer.
Hunting for insects may be natural behaviour for wild Capuchins, but all of this group, bar one, were born in a Chilean laboratory.
We do actually have one individual, Mary, that was originally came from the wild, so she has experienced that, but all of the others would have been born in the lab and never seen it. And the fact that they're still here exhibiting those behaviours, they've obviously learnt that from the others in their groups, but also, you know, it's just natural instinct for them to do that. But they need this to be able to demonstrate that.
In the wild, Capuchins forage for insects around 70% of the day and have a precision grip. At the park, they're not always as successful. Known as the Fluffies, due to the majority still having their baby fur when they were first put together as a group in 2008, This troop are very different from the mixed-age Capuchin groups at the park. They've all grown up together and are a playful, sometimes volatile unit.
Yes, some of these individuals that are in Donnie's group were just sort of 1 or 2 years old when they arrived here. So now they're sort of like 17, 18, which is, they're in their prime really. And that's why we've seen so much change. At the beginning, they were just young, inquisitive, couldn't care less about the hierarchy. Whereas now actually they're wanting that. They're wanting the responsibility and to move up the hierarchy. And it's really interesting to see them all change and get to that point together.
It's led to something of an upheaval in the last few months. Not only have these Capuchins had to contend with moving house, they also have a new leader. And it's a huge surprise to everyone.
Donnie has taken over as dominant male of the group. Completely unexpected. When they ousted Franco, you know, all the guesses were out as to who was going to take over. And actually, for all of us, Donnie was at the bottom of the list. We were like, no, no way he's going to take it. And yeah, he's just, all the girls have favoured him. All the others gave it a go. Felipe gave it a go, William, Fabian, who all of the females really dislike. And they've chosen Donnie. So, yeah. He's not a great dominant male in terms of disciplining the other individuals within the group, but for the most part, the group is fairly settled.
Even Donnie seems surprised with his newfound status, but it certainly helps having the backing of the females like Digit and Fiona. Quick to tell challengers like Fabian to back off. So for now, they're not just known as the Fluffies, they're also called Donnie's group. But whether that will last is anyone's guess. It's all change again for the Capuchins. Sonny, one of the group's established leaders, has been ousted as top man by rival Franco. The coup has caused tension within the troop, and now for his own safety and welfare, Sonny needs to move. He's heading to a new home with Eriko's troop.
Franco has become dominant and it's causing quite a bit of friction and confusion between the girls because the girls still quite favour Sonny, but Franco is definitely more dominant and he's definitely the one who's taking the group. We did hope that Sonny would kind of just sink down in the hierarchy and kind of be content with not having to deal with the stresses of being dominant, but unfortunately, because the girls kept wanting Sonny as their male, it just caused too much problems between him and Franco. So hopefully he'll be a little bit better off now that he doesn't have to worry so much about the social dynamics and keeping the group in check. But yeah, we're hoping that this will actually be a bit of a better spot for him.
The move back to the Capuchin complex won't be a new experience for Sonny. Up until 7 months ago, when his group moved to the lodge, he'd lived there for the majority of his time at the park. Now he's on his way back, but at least the setup will be familiar and he's already acquainted with some of the monkeys there.
Good job. Have we got a blanket? Sheets of some kind to go over the top.
The house has a handy removable travel crate built into the tunnel system.
He's all in the crate and ready to go. Sarah's just crated him, so we do this training with them regularly, so they're quite used to popping into crates.
Sonny is ready to go, and once the crate is fully secured...
Good boy. Right, toes, toes, toes.
It's a short journey to the Capuchin complex.
Hi! Does this place look familiar?
Sonny's released into a bedroom with a variety of tasty foods to keep him distracted and help him settle. His arrival piques a lot of interest. Sonny won't be on his own for long. Katie has a friend already lined up for company.
So we've got Caesar separate already, just over on the other side of the bedroom. So we're going to go straight ahead and give Sonny a friend. So they're such social animals. We just want to get someone in with him as quickly as possible. We don't want him sat here on his own. And Caesar's just one of the low-ranking boys. He's quite a calm individual. And we're hoping that he'll be quite a nice, easy one to introduce Sonny to and that they'll get along easily. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. Cool. Ready?
Ready.
Caesar is let into the bedroom next door.
Who's that, Sonny?
They won't be kept apart for long.
Generally, we find with Capuchin introductions, actually having mesh between them can be a bit of an aggravating factor. Capuchins quite often will shout at each other through the mesh. They're very conscious that they can't have full contact, so they'll just kind of take that opportunity to have a good shout and a scream. So we find that having mesh contact in intros actually makes it a little bit more tense between them, so we tend to just open up as quickly as possible and just see how it goes. Ready?
The slide is opened and Caesar goes straight in to join Sonny.
Nice.
A scatter of mealworms keeps them distracted, and there's no sign of any friction between the two.
Yeah, they just went right next to each other. Caesar kind of glanced at him and was a little bit unsure, but yeah, that's fine. They're both happily foraging for worms now, so all in all, that's not positive.
The two boys seem relaxed in each other's company. They'll spend a few days together before Sonny gets to meet the rest of Eriko's troop and hopefully find his place within the group. At the Capuchin complex, Eriko's troop have a fun and challenging day ahead of them. The park has received a donation of a lovely bunch of coconuts. And just like winning one at the fair, Primate Care Staff member Donna is making sure the group will have their work cut out to claim a prize.
We always try to enrich them in some ways in whatever we give them. So by hanging them up in the trees and up in the towers, on the logs that go across the pond, it just makes it a bit more different for them. It means that they can't just grab one and run off. They've got to work for it a little bit more. Hopefully it'll last a bit longer and just get them thinking a bit more about how they're actually going to retrieve it and therefore get to them.
Capuchins are great problem solvers. In the wild, they use rocks as tools to crack hard-to-open nuts and fruits. Today, the coconuts have been cut in half, for safety reasons.
It would be great if we could give them these whole, because then you'd see the actual technique that they would use in the wild, which is peeling the outer flesh off, leaving them out in the sun for a period of time so that flesh goes brittle, so that they can actually crack it open using the rocks and things that they have available to them. But unfortunately, we have several individuals that like to bash very hard items against things like windows. So for safety reasons, we can't do that. So we have pre-prepared them for them. But these will probably last them a good day, if not more. And nonetheless, you'll see them, they'll still have to smash them, and, the coconut inside is quite hard, so that would keep them busy for a long time.
Coconuts at the ready. Time to see how the clever Capuchins cope with the challenge. They're not shy. Weeper Capuchin Matty is excited to be one of the first to a prize. But can he hang on to it? He uses his tail and his feet to try, clinging on with determination, but eventually loses the battle. Elderly Ringo shows just how clever Capuchins can be. He's bitten through the string holding the coconut. Using what's left of the string, he holds it in his mouth and heads high to eat it somewhere a little more comfortable. Caesar is happy to eat piecemeal. He demonstrates his core strength, using his tail as an anchor as he reaches down to grab a chunk of coconut. Sean demonstrates natural wild Capuchin behaviour, bashing his coconut on a tunnel roof to try and loosen the flesh. He's second in command to Eriko, who's showing off his agility, taking a bite of coconut before climbing down to claim another and change tactics.
Eriko's always very noisy, but he's actually doing really well. He's using the hard bolts and the logs that are in the enclosure to try and smash the coconut out of the shell. So that's exactly what he should be doing, that he's using the tools that he's got to get to the food as easily as he can. But yeah, he always likes to make a song and a dance about everything.
The group are enthusiastic about today's task. Capuchins have extremely long and sharp teeth, particularly the males. Although the coconut flesh is quite hard, they can easily tear it free. The group's dynamics have changed in recent months with Sonny joining, having been ousted as leader of the Capuchin group at the lodge by Franco. He offered no threat to Eriko's leadership and settled in well, getting on with the majority of the troop. But the biggest change has come within the female hierarchy, resulting in former pet trade Capuchin Louisa taking the title of top girl, despite being an amputee.
Louisa is an absolute force to be reckoned with. Compared to the timid little animal that she was when she first came in, which was about a year ago now, she has completely transformed. She's now the dominant female in the group, and she is so feisty. So yeah, she's definitely cemented her place in the group.
It's been a successful morning for Eriko's troop. They've all given the physical and mental enrichment challenge a go, and no one's found it a tough nut to crack. At the Capuchin complex, one lucky group are about to be given a tricky but tasty breakfast. The primate care staff have stewed apples and other fruits, along with feed pellets, and pushed the mixture in between the fronds of lots of pine cones.
Putting them out for Winslow's group is a bit of something different. We're going to hang them up all over the enclosure, so hopefully there'll be a little bit of a challenge for them to get hold of.
There are 16 members in the troop, and it's generally the most settled and stable of all the Capuchin groups at the park. Some members are expert climbers, while others stick to ground level. Katie is going to give all of them a chance to purloin a pine cone.
It just makes it a little bit different for them. It makes it a little bit more challenging, and yeah, they haven't had pine cones for quite a while, so it's just a little bit of a different way to present the food to them. And yeah, hopefully we'll get a few other behaviours out, and we'll get to see them high up in the trees, and because they're going to be dangling, hopefully we'll get some tail use in there. But then we're also going to pop some down on the ground, because we definitely have some in this group who aren't keen on heights.
The slide is opened up, and the Capuchins head straight out, eager to explore, and to discover what treat Katie and the team have cooked up. Some of the females, including Bubbles and Joanne, go straight to the pine cones closer to the ground, while Onslow heads up a level. He's smart, anchoring himself with his tail, giving him the stability to use both hands to attack the pine cone. Leader Winslow tries a different technique, smashing his pine cone on a tunnel roof to break it apart, showing similar tool use behaviour to wild Capuchins. Apart from Dodger and Babe, all the Capuchins in this group came from a laboratory in Chile, although some of the older individuals, such as Debbie, were wild caught. She was a dominant female for a long time, until Babe took over when she arrived from Spain in 2009. But now, she's also taken a back seat.
She almost just doesn't seem interested in hierarchy so much anymore. She loves being outside, she loves climbing, she's always busy, always doing something. And whereas I think she used to direct that a little bit more at the hierarchy and what the other monkeys were doing, now she's kind of not as interested and she's off doing her own thing. So yeah, she just seems to have been happily retired a little bit. And Esther's definitely more of a dominant female and more involved in the hierarchy now. But overall, they're actually really stable. The whole group seems to have calmed down a little bit compared to what they used to be like.
Current dominant female Esther has found a sunny spot in a tree where she's well balanced to tackle a pine cone. Dodger, one of the two non-lab monkeys in the group, arrived 3 years ago. He'd been kept as a pet, and after a false start in another group, has finally settled to life in Winslow's troop. He's a bit of a ground monkey, but today he's being more adventurous. With plenty of pine cones to go round, all of the Capuchin group have tackled the tricky feast. and it should keep them both physically and mentally challenged for the rest of the day.